This is the MindShift podcast, where we share real stories, real strategies that will help you find real success. This is the place to hear from people just like you who have taken their ideas, goals, and dreams from a point of inspiration to realization, or when life knocked them down, from a point of breakdown to breakthrough. I'm your host, Darrell Evans. Let's get started with today's episode. Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome to the MindShift podcast. This is episode number 30. I'm your host, Darrell Evans, and today I have a very special episode. I'm actually inserting this episode into what I thought was going to be today's released episode, but it comes at a very timely point in our country and in our world at this point. As many of you know, and those of you maybe listening back on the replay of this many, many years later, you will have probably seen in some history book or some news story or online somewhere the conversation around the coronavirus. Now, we're today here in the middle of March, and we are just now approaching what we have learned to be a pandemic status here in the United States and in the world by the World Health Organization. And so I want to talk today about leadership in the midst of adversity. And for those of you that are listening to this, you're entrepreneurs, you're leaders, you're executives, you are running a household. This is not about gender. This is not about your exact title. You could be a community leader, a politician. If you're listening to this in any way, shape, or form, I want to share with you a message today that has been on my mind for the last several weeks as this situation has continued to grow. I want to share with you some insights on how I am discussing things with my family, with our team members here at our company, Yoka Local, in our mastermind group, where we've got another group of leaders that we all work together and are collaborating. We, as a group of leaders, we have to be able to exhibit certain characteristics and certain traits in the midst of adversity or in the midst of uncertainty. And that's what I want to share with you today. By the way, I am only sharing with you ideas that I am operating under at this moment. So I'm not trying to pull you away from what you think or believe. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. This is not medical advice. This is not legal advice. This is none of that. This is simply one leader to another, and I'm hoping to impart some ideas and thoughts. And as I get started, let me share with you the basis of some of this concept, right? Many of you listening to this or watching this, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, by the way, if you love our show and you're watching this right now on Facebook or YouTube, be sure to hit subscribe for future episodes. Also, turn on the notification bell if you're on YouTube, if you'd like to continue following this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of those places, please do follow the show and subscribe. And if you love it, leave us a rating and review. But my background as an entrepreneur for the last 30 years, as well as a father now going on 28 years, and then various aspects of leadership. I was blessed to have gotten an opportunity in leadership early on in my life. And it was at the age of 18, and then 20 was the next level, and then on into entrepreneurship after that. And I feel like through all of the ups and downs of leadership, and many times we think of leadership as a blessing, and in other times it can kind of sometimes seem like a curse, right? I want to be the man in charge. I want to be the woman in charge. And then until stuff hits the fan and things come out of the blue. And so I think back to 2008. I was in my car this morning and I was heading to the gym, and I thought back to 2008. And I don't know where you were in 2008, and I don't know how you were affected, but I owned a mortgage company at the time with some business partners, and we'd been on a good, several year run. And I myself had been in the industry for going on 8 years by the time, but I know exactly where I was at the time everything began to come to an end. I know exactly where I was. I know exactly the date. I know the location. I happened to have been in Hawaii at the time. And I know what changed and how I know what ensued over the next 8-9 months. Now, that situation was definitely a situation that's not what we're dealing with today. But the parallel to that comment in that situation is that it almost seemed like it came overnight, very similar to what we're dealing right now with the coronavirus. So as I get into these 4 topics, these 4 big ideas that I have for you today, I'm just going to share with you from my heart. I'm going to share with you what's on my mind. I'm going to share with you some thoughts that I've shared with our team, with my business partner, again, in some of the conversations in our mastermind. So literally what I think about, number one, when it comes to leadership in the midst of fear or adversity or uncertainty, is this idea that as a leader, we have to be able to show confidence. Now, when I say confidence, I don't mean irrational exuberance. I don't mean, just false truths or falsehoods so that we could mask the inevitable. What I'm saying is that in the midst of adversity, People look to us as leaders to stand strong and stand firm, which means whatever that situation might look for you, whoever it is that you're responsible for, they're looking to you for guidance. They're looking to you for leadership, which means when this happens, we've got to be careful to silence out some of the noise that is prevalent out there, especially today on the internet, especially on the news. I like to say there's a healthy balance between being informed, but believing everything you're hearing. And I don't want to mix this up. We need to stay informed so that we know how to go into what I will call the second step of leadership, but I'll get to that in a second. But it is critical that we remain confident. And what I mean by that is it doesn't mean we have all the answers. It doesn't mean we have all the solutions. It doesn't mean we exactly know what's going to come next. None of us know what's going to come next. But everyone who's looking up to us in one way or the other, whether that's in our family, in our church, in our community, in our businesses, wherever, if you're a leader, they're looking for you to be firm, to be rock solid in your belief. You're rock solid in your faith that we're going to get through this. Your rock solidness, your confidence that everything's going to be okay. Your rock solidness in the fact that it is critical that we move in a certain direction so we do the necessary things to move past this situation. That brings me to number 2. The second aspect of this topic today for leadership in the midst of adversity is the idea of a contingency plan. Okay. So I run a business and I was running a business in 2008 when the world collapsed back then. And we are running a business today. But today there's a slight difference in the business that I run today. Today, my business is responsible for helping other businesses. So that also means that in this midst of confidence, I've got to be able to convey to our clients that we got them. Even in the midst of us needing to do self-preservation for our own lives, our own families, and our own business, they're counting on us. But we have to have contingency plans in place so that we can make sure that we can still show up and do what we're supposed to do as leaders. And that means contingency plans for your family, contingency plans for your children, contingency plans for your work, contingency plans for your business, your clients, your customers. Right at this moment, we're preparing in our organization a contingency plan for how we're going to work from home. Now, our business is very fortunate that we're all cloud-based anyway, which means most of our tools and software and everything works in the cloud anyway, as long as we have an internet connection and no disruption there. But it's interesting because coming out of the '08 scenario, when we came into this business and started this company, it had always been my goal that this business would be able to employ people from anywhere in the world and be able to work 100% in sync as if we were all sitting in the same environment. So right now I'm sitting in our podcast studio. We do have a full service office. And we've got about 10 team members here in this office, and then we've got dispersed team members already working virtually. But we're putting our team through our contingency protocol coming up here in this next week on, well, what if we do have to work from home? And now let's make sure that we've got everything ironed out, because with confidence, we've got to make sure our clients know that we've got their back, that at a time when maybe they can't travel, at a time when maybe they can't go to do face-to-face meetings and face-to-face events, that we have their online presence covered. And for those of you that may not know, I co-own a digital marketing agency called Yokel Local, and our clients count on us to make sure that they are visible online everywhere they need to be so that their customers can find them and transact business with them. So that's step 2, right? Confidence is step 1. Contingency plan is step 2. Now, with contingency plan, I'll also say that at this point in time, at least at the time I'm recording this, it is important to start looking at the necessary contingency and the possibility of quarantine, right? So now, by the time you're listening to this, months and years later, we will have known whether that actually became to be. But I like to say that it is important to prepare for that also contingent situation that could be either passed down by the government, it could be a local official, whatever the case may be in your particular area. So make those contingency plans, whether it's for your business, whether it's for education, because schools, my understanding, are being closed down in some areas of the country. But it's time to think about those contingency plans and make sure that those are in place. Number 3, the other opportunity that I think is critical here is capitalize. So capitalize. What do I mean by capitalize? That isn't in a sense of like take advantage of anything, but there's an opportunity at this point to capitalize on things you hadn't prepared for up to this point. There's an opportunity. I see it in business. We're already talking to companies right now where in business, they ignored their internet presence. They ignored their online presence. Maybe things were going so well with their business that they ignored their online marketing, or maybe they just put a little toe in the water with it. And so from my business perspective, this is an opportunity to capitalize on the fact that now you may be forced to start doing business virtually. You may be forced to start running online meetings. You may be forced to start creating content online and paying more attention to your website, which is what we call an online sales consultant. You might have this opportunity now in downtime to capitalize on this downtime to really get focused on those things. In other areas that you might be able to capitalize on might be areas of your faith, right? You might be right now being faced with the opportunity to really dig into your faith to guide you away from this area of fear and get you into this area of confidence, right? I believe that this is one of those opportunities. If you're a faithful person, if you're a believer, and if you're not, that's okay too. But whatever source you look towards for strength and confidence and belief, this is a time to capitalize on that, right? The other side of it is it's an opportunity to capitalize on, our readiness for adversity and our willingness to be able to stand firm and stand strong. Look, I'm not sitting here saying that adversity is easy to deal with. And as leaders, we all get hit a mile a minute. I mean, if there as a leader of a company, and many of you watching this, you're business owners, you're entrepreneurs, your executive leaders, listen, it's kind of lonely sometime at the top. And a lot of times we don't want to say that. We suffer in silence. And sometimes we think, man, it'd be great if I could complain every now and then. But you can't complain in front of the people that are looking to you for leadership. The fact of the matter is, there's a great opportunity right now to start really synergizing your energy with other leaders so that you can collaborate and come up with plans so that you might even be able to find communities. I'm very blessed. I'm a part of a number of communities of leaders where I seek to be able to have private mentoring and mastermind sessions with these people. Some of them, they're all different walks of life, but what we're there to do is to help support each other, not just in the good times, but also in the bad times. And I'm so grateful for the communities that I'm a part of, the masterminds that I'm a part of. Many of them are going to watch this or hear this, and so I'm not going to call you out by name because there's too many of you to mention. But I just want to thank you because your energy and support in our last call and basically us being able to collaborate and help support each other through this is vital. And for those people that we serve, the extensions of who we serve, the ripple effect of who we serve is really what this is all about. So number one, we've got to be confident as leaders. Number two, we've got to make sure we do have those contingency plans in place. And listen, I'm just going to say that for the people that are listening to this right now and have not done so, yes, you need to start putting those contingency plans in case there is a quote unquote quarantine of some sort. It doesn't mean panic. It means put the stuff in place just in case. Last thing I'll say as I wrap this up, very short episode today. I don't want to keep you here too long. And this is something I've said for years and years and years. I got taught this at an early age, and that is our job as leaders is to control the controllables, like to control the controllables. We don't get to control who makes the decision about whether this or that. We get to control what we are. We get to control how we operate from the moment we wake up, put our feet on that floor and hit the ground running. We get to control what we're doing in our house. I've been listening to people now for the last several weeks. I was in a Lyft ride yesterday, and me and the Lyft driver were discussing, and he was giving me his perspective. And my job's not to judge his opinion about this. I was just listening. That's what leaders do. What I think, though, as leaders is we have to be able to understand that we control the controllables. In my business, for example, in our organization and in my family and in our house, I have taken measures to control those controllables. At the same time of controlling those controllables is also making sure that these other factors are in place, right? I'm staying confident in front of those who are looking to me for leadership. I'm also making sure that contingency plans are in place. I'm also making sure that we are pivoting in our business, for example, to capitalize on this opportunity to strengthen our company, to double down, to put processes in place that maybe we never thought we'd ever need, and other areas of life as well. But this last area is one that I think ultimately we get so caught up in wondering or waiting or having things dictated to us. And that's just not how I see leadership. Leaders control the controllables. And when they do that, they're able to navigate through the waters, whatever they may be. You don't get to determine what the water looks like. You might get in the water and it's a raging river. You might get in the water and it's a still pool. Your job, though, is when you get in, you better know how to swim and navigate in that sucker. And so you don't always get preparation for these types of things. None of us have been prepared for a pandemic. I would imagine, unless you're from a scenario where this may have happened in your area of the world or in your life or in your family, this is new for all of us. This is absolutely new for all of us, including perhaps our government here in the United States. This is not about waiting and just waiting to see what's going to happen. Control your controllables. A couple of things we're doing in our world, in our business. For example, right now, if you're running a business, you need to be looking at a remote working plan. If you have not began to sit down and look at how your business will function if no one can show up at your office, and how will you operate if you have to go out and make human contact with folks, if we ended up at some very tough, restrictive scenario. Hopefully we don't get there, and hopefully, and I know our government's working as hard as possibly can to make sure that happens. A lot of measures being taken right now, and a lot of frustration with a lot of those measures. NBA's canceled, all sports activity, events and school activities, everything is being canceled. But I heard something very interesting last night, and I'll just share this and wrap this up today. And that is, all of these larger opportunities, these things that are being canceled, are to help mitigate the potential risks and of contagion and spreading of this particular virus. And so I applaud what's happening right now. It's painful. Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge sports fan. March Madness is coming to an end. NBA finals were coming up. All this stuff is going on. At the end of the day, human life is far more valuable than a sporting event, far more valuable than, these ephemeral, if you will, moments of elation or joy. We'll get those back. We got to take care of human life first. So that's it. Listen, as a leader, I'm going to wrap this up. I hope that some of these things come to mind. I know you're a leader. You probably know these things already, but let's just repeat what I just said. Number one, our job is to stay confident, whatever that takes for you. Listen, in order to stay confident, it doesn't mean that you don't have nerves, and it doesn't mean you don't have anxieties. Take care of your body. Drink plenty of water. Keep your stress down. If you're working out, work out a little bit more. I mean, I'm working out. I'm doubling down on my workout to make sure that my level of stress, I can mitigate that and stay there. I'm meditating more. I'm watching my food more. I'm eating less junk food. Not that I'm eating a ton right now anyway, but I'm trying to eat a lot less junk food because I don't want the stress in my body to lead me to a place where I start leaving the world of confidence and start running towards anxiety and fear. That's not going to serve anybody that's looking up to me. Number two, contingency plans. Sitting down and we're working on it. In our house, we've worked on a plan. In our business, we're working on a plan, and we're revising those as we go, because none of them are perfect, because we've never had to use those plans before. Number three, let's capitalize on the opportunities to take whatever opportunities to improve ourselves and be our preparedness, if you will. And that's in business, that's in life, it's in every area. I'm not going to list all the things that you could be capitalizing on right now. Evaluate that for yourself. And the last thing is just control the controllables. Listen, I'm not saying don't watch the news. I personally keep it limited. Like, I want to know what the high level is, and then I want to dig in and continue to work on the things that I can control. That's basically my thoughts on leadership in the face of adversity. So I'd love to get your feedback. What else do you have to share? What are you thinking about? What are you doing? How are you preparing your business? Listen, I will throw this in there that this is an opportunity. We will get through this. There's nothing in me that believes we won't get through this. I believe, number one, though, that it takes these four things. If you're a leader and some people are looking for you, they're looking at you, whether that's family or business, colleagues, whatever it may be, it's a great opportunity for us to dig in and really rise above this. Let's make sure we're praying for our healthcare providers. Let's make sure we're praying for our government officials. Let's make sure we're keeping these folks that are out there on the front end of this fight. Let's pray that these folks have the resources, they have the brain power, they have the knowledge, they have the roadmap, and that God is ordering their steps in every single way possible to contain this situation in the preservation of life. That is my prayer. That is my wish. And as I wrap this up again, if you've enjoyed this episode, if you've got any comments, be sure to hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, social media, anywhere. You can generally find me at Mr. Darrell Evans, or on my Facebook page at Darrell Evans Fan. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, we'd love to have you hit the like button, hit this and share it with someone if you think it could be of value. And we'd love for you to follow the MindShift podcast. We generally release episodes every Tuesday on the show. And thanks for hanging out with me today. And my prayers are with you and your family, wherever you may be listening to this, and that all be well in the midst of this situation.